Hello, everyone. Hey.
And welcome back to our podcast. It has been a while, and we have been through quite a bit of change in ourselves, in our lives, and as well as this podcast. We are now called Being Free.
Yeah, because when you come to conscious creation or manifestation, or when whatever goal you have or whatever desire you have, when you trace it back, it's all about freedom, to live your life free, to be free and in who you are and who you want to be, in how you want to live your life, and all of that. And this is like really the foundation, like freedom. And as long you seek freedom outside of you, it will be a struggle, or like you will maybe just experience it temporarily.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Our whole mission here now is to really guide you back to the freedom that's already within you. You are already free. You don't need to do anything to become free. You already are free. And so many of us are chasing freedom in outside things like money. Yeah, all these external accomplishments, to feel good enough, to feel free, and following what everyone else is saying, rather than trusting themselves. But the reality and the truth is, and this is something both Nia and I have really embodied and really been experiencing the past few months, is that all the freedom that you ever desire is within.
And
And that's what
it's
manifests. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just a feeling, or better said, a inner knowing, or yeah, like you just, I don't really have to explain it, or there was really like words can really explain it, but it's really a feeling within you, like you just know how freedom feels like, and therefore you know, oh yeah, this feels really good, so yeah, I want it. And without knowing how it feels, how freedom feels, you would probably don't want it. So you actually know what freedom is, and there, and just the fact that you can feel it is just the proof that you have always had freedom within you. Like, this is just it.
Yeah, and your true nature is free. Your true infinite being is free automatically. You don't need to work for it, earn it, in any way. Like that is your true nature. So it's going back to your truest essence and remembering your freedom. And exactly like Nia said, the more you feel free, so many of us think this needs to happen first in the outside world before I can feel free. But that's the biggest trap. When you
Yep.
really come from freedom from within and trusting your true self, your true nature, and who you are, and your uniqueness, and yourself and your bodies, that is the true source of all your freedom. And the more you kind of stay there and devote to that freedom inside of you, you are going to see it in the forms of, for instance, like money coming in, but you're no longer chasing for it. But that's exactly what will manifest out there.
Yeah, and this is like the same tricky thing, such as I'm happy when, or I will feel enough when da 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 is happening. And all of that is just like the same kind of cycle, just in different forms. We just record this episode for you as a reminder, to practice feeling all these feelings you want. Like, for example, feeling good enough, feeling free, feeling confident, and all of that stuff. Like, um, let's say you would just let go of how you want your life to look like, or waiting for something, and just focus on the feeling within, looking for all these things you want within you, instead of looking outside of you, or like, or just analyzing things, or your life situation, or how things aren't how you want them to be. But instead of doing this, going within and activating those feelings within you and just see what's happening, but without waiting for something and without attaching yourself to something. How about that challenge? Like, this is what we also practice and also realize that as long as you see something against you, like, this is what you're going to keep creating instead of, oh, wait a minute, what if I can just change how I see this? What if actually everything is happening for me, and therefore you don't no longer give your power away, and connecting back to your feelings or your desired feelings, and then living from this as the foundation.
Yeah, yeah. And this comes down to the truth of how this works, how your perception creates your reality, and your focal point and your reframe of what is happening in your reality when things seemingly goes wrong, quote, which nothing really goes wrong. If you start seeing it as unfolding for you, working for you, always in your highest favor, then that's exactly how it's going to unfold in divine perfection. And there's so much, um there needs to be that courage to release control. Sometimes, like, when we are at the cusp of change and wanting our realities to be different, it comes from a really deep rooted fear that if we don't control, then things are going to go wrong. We tend to go to the worst case scenarios. But that is where the mastery comes in, and knowing who you truly are. It's like, as how fast can you shift your perception at that point, to focus on what's the best thing that can happen? How is this, working out for me always? So it's really about shifts in your perception at moments of resistance too.
Yeah, and this reminds me when I was listening to one episode of the I Am Love podcast, and guess who we will have as guest? Ning,
Drum
ning,
roll.
ning. So stay tuned. And yeah, Jen was actually talking about, um, instead of analyzing your situation and be like, okay, wanting to fix it or wanting to change it and blah, 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 all of that human stuff. What if you would just go within, stop reacting, and knowing that, okay, when everything I see in my reality is just my inner world projected outward, then the only thing that would really, really make sense is to go within and seeing, okay, what's going on inside of me? Which stories I'm still holding within me? What am I still giving life to? What am I still identifying myself as? Yeah, and really getting to know yourself and releasing all these stories, because yeah, it's just a story you used to tell yourself, and this became a habit. And so telling the new story might feel a bit strange at first, but you can always change your story and approach life as a game and release all that stuff that needs to be released so that your true self, your higher self, your God self, or however you want to call it, can shine through. Yeah, I mean, this is a
Yeah.
lot of to digest, especially when you are new to this. But trust us, we have been there, and we are still practicing this, but it's worth it and will help you to know, okay, all the power is really within me, and I just gave it unconsciously or sometimes even consciously away.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the key, like anchoring in the God self and the infinite self, like your true nature, because that is the only permanent thing ever. Everything else is kind of just what we're creating. Um, yeah, and it's a manifestation. So if you don't get, so the key is to not get caught up in all these, in the play, in the illusion that you're creating, which gets to be fun and playful and blissful. But the key is to really always come back to who you truly are and anchor in that never changing self, And because that is where, everything you desire is, like, you already are it. So you no longer need to look for it out there, and you're no longer afraid to change, to tell yourself new stories. And it doesn't need to be hard anymore.
Yeah, and you don't need to be caught up in techniques. Like it's not about, oh yeah, I need to visualize, or I need to change my thoughts, I need to affirm, I need to tell myself my new story, like forcing. You don't need to force the new story. You
Yes.
just have to allow yourself to believe, like that you actually can believe that, okay, this can happen for me. Just the fact that I desire it just means it's meant for me to experience in this lifetime. And so
Yeah.
you just have to get out of your own way. And yeah, one thing I also wanted to say when it comes to trying to fix something, what if you could just, for this moment, you can do it day by day, step by step, what if you could just for this moment letting go of, okay, I need to fix something. So, and what actually is there to fix? And when you can sit with yourself and see, okay, why do I want to fix something? Why do I want to change something? You maybe come across more stories, or like what's really the root of all this stuff. And then you can just look at it. You don't need to do something like this would just cause resistance. And as long as you keep seeing things as, okay, this needs to be fixed, guess what? You will create more of, instead of, okay, what if really actually anything is working for me? And this is just an opportunity to let go of this. And so I can liberate myself and get free, but by going within. And yeah, and when you start seeing that things are working for you and are perfect already, and that everything is just part of the fulfillment of your desires, then guess what? New cycles you can create, and what you will just create in general.
Yeah, and going back to techniques, like you will just be naturally guided to what works for you, and know that what works for you, is what may uniquely work for you. You don't need to follow anyone else's process. These affirmations, visualizations, you'll just be naturally led to do them when it feels good for you. And these tools, but just remember the simplicity of it all. You don't need to overcomplicate. And yeah, just follow your guidance moment to moment. And yeah, like with the whole not trying to fix and see everything exactly as perfect, like divinely perfect, orchestrated by your God self in your favor. That's because we tend to get in our own way. In fact, it's always us that gets in our own way, when we have all these sort of resistance and trying to control and trying to fix and trying to change what is. But when you are able to allow and just accept what is, we think that's not going to change, when in fact that is exactly the portal that's going to change, in the way that you desire.
Yeah, and this is, I know, a whole new way of living or a new perspective. And it's okay. I mean, before we came to the law of attraction and law of assumption and like the God self, beingness, or whatsoever, yeah, we have been so used to, okay, there was a power outside of me, I'm separate, and I need to follow what society wants me to do. I need to work hard, need to look a certain way, I need to be a certain way, I need to live life a certain way. And then, like, actually giving your power away to secondary causes, to things or like causes outside of you, when in fact the power lies within you. And approaching life from within, like living from the inside out, versus instead of living from the outside in. So this is just a simple but big shift. Like it sounds so simple, but it's a whole new way of living. And again, you know, everything you see in your so-called 3D world is just your inner world projected outward, but there was actually no inner and outer world. It's just easier to explain it this way. But yeah, this is just helping you to see that the power lies within, and yeah, you can really see your life, or like how your world looks like, or your how your reality looks like, as a feedback. So to see, okay, am I still what am I still giving life to? What am I still believing, or what stories have I believed once or accepted as truth? And then you can just look at it versus, okay, oh, this looks a certain way, or this is a certain way, or this is wrong, or this is right. Like all these false definitions. And by the way, only you give meaning to things, whether you are conscious about it or not. And yeah, what I wanted to say is that it's just about how you really perceive things, and you only get free, really, like permanently, by getting free from within, and not by waiting for something to happen. And I also want to invite you to create your own definition of freedom. Like, if you are truly free, like, what would you do, or what would you like to experience, and allow yourself to dream bigger than you could ever have. And yeah, and this comes a lot with allowing yourself to yeah, experience your dreams and go for what you want. And yeah, being worthy already and enough. Like, this is also big stuff, but we will talk about this in another episode, because like this whole topic of worthiness and enoughness is a whole another episode worth.
Yes, when you said the definition, creating your own definition, and apply this to words like success, right? Because society has taught us one way of how success looks like. But in this modern world, we see so many people are so-called successful, but they're burnt out. They don't have inner peace. They don't have overall well-being or health. So it's really about creating your own version of success and your own definition of success, and the freedom, and really giving yourself permission to go all the way living by your definition, and knowing that you don't need validation or approval from anyone out there. And that is where, to see where you're still giving away your power. Essentially, yeah, it's just creating your own definition, and, manifestation at the end of the day, in its the simplest terms, is what you're giving meaning to and what you're accepting as true through how you give meaning. And that's exactly what creates it. But know that, your God nature, your infinite nature, is this unconditionally loving force. So sometimes when we get into the law of assumption, we fear our power to create circumstances that we don't want. And while that is true on a certain level, just remember, going back to your God nature, your infinite nature, that is always in your favor, that it's a loving force, that you are safe. That is the place of absolute safety, security, protection, provision. And yeah, that's, if you just look at nature, everything is provided for. So it's not this complete um, kind of it is neutral, but it's not an entirely, essentially, there's nothing to fear. I think that is what I'm trying to get at. There's nothing to fear once you continuously to remember who you are, and yeah, release the fears, because they are just illusions and creations as well.
Yeah, and whenever a fear comes up, or a trigger, like, I would treat it the same way, or deal with this the same way. It's not about, yeah, okay, how can I get out of it? Like these typical fight or flight situations, but rather sit with it and seeing, okay, how can I grow from that? Or what's really going on? What is this teaching me? Like, just this basically typical thing of, okay, which lesson is behind it? And this is just it. And yeah, now going back to freedom. Freedom, like, of course, it's a basic feeling, but it's coming in different ways. Like, for example, when we talk about the body, um, having the freedom and confidence to look the way you want to, or to um, really having the freedom from like dieting or like exercise addiction, where we can talk a lot about, like both of us have
Oh yeah.
um, experienced with that, because it was just like, okay, needing to fix something, or like needing to control the body so that it can look, or like look a certain way, or that we can maintain a specific look by forcing ourselves and putting so much tortures on ourselves, because it was like we weren't really trusting ourselves, and therefore not our God selves, and not giving us the freedom we actually wanted. We just wanted to eat whatever we want, and just move our body when we want, and not when we need to move it. And then, like, stay tuned, we will cover this also in extra episodes. And then this is also like when it comes to money or time or like business or career, like freedom is like just the foundation of everything. And I trust you get me and know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah. And we notice, I mean, this is just a common limitation for so many people, that the three major areas of limitation and restriction that is, we're imposing on ourselves from experiencing the freedom and the free being that we are, is the body, money, and time. So these three, and we are definitely working on something to help you transcend these limitations and break free from these three core limitations. So definitely stay tuned. And if you're interested in the meantime, definitely send us a message, because, yeah, I think there are some really key points that we covered that will really help you.
Yeah, so when you want to get more details or more information, so of course feel free to send us an email with the on at the email address, which is linked in the description. And yeah, like from our journeys, like we skip all this fluff, and it's really about, okay, yeah, money, time, the body. Like, this is like everything is so often just coming back to this. Like, for example, oh, I don't have the time, or it's too late, or yeah, when you shift this to money, oh, I don't have the money, or I need to save for something. Or when you shift it, then, oh, I need to look a certain way, or I don't look good enough or hot enough to, for example, go on a date or something, or to show up, or to wear whatever you want. Like, do you see the pattern? And that's why we are working on something, and yeah, which will be really beneficial and practical, and yeah, just for everyday use. So yeah, stay tuned. um and yeah, I guess we said a lot today to digest, so I guess we will just leave this episode.
Just on a final note, allow yourself to slow down. Allow yourself to slow down, rest, relax, rejuvenate, and go within. It's okay to just be. Nothing is going to fall apart.
And resting, slowing down is also a part of the process, and not just, oh, go, 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 get. Nope. Nope. Okay. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. And yeah, stay tuned for the upcoming episodes.